Another exclusive for Spotify. From Brisbane, the latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net.
We can announce that we are teaming up with the legends at Spotify.
Think Spotify has stopped signing new shows? Think again. The company has signed up Tony and Ryan as an exclusive show for the platform in a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract. The Aussie show becomes exclusive on August the 8th. They'll also produce some shows in video. After seeing rapid increases in audience, the duo are represented by March Media. Remote audio tool CleanFeed has highlighted some of the work the team has done for accessibility in the platform, helping the blind and low vision community. After Sounds Profitable's The Creators reported that only 29% of podcast creators are female, we're proud to say that the Podnews ranker for June shows 41% of our mentions over the last 90 days were of women, up month on month from 35%. The data also says Spotify, Acast and iHeart are the most covered companies. Reddit is to start live audio talks, much like Twitter or Clubhouse. The difference, says Ariel Nissenblatt in a Twitter thread, is that talks are promoted to people who follow subreddits on the topic your talk is about, which could be millions of people. There's a form to fill out if you're interested in hosting them. Message Heard has signed an audio partnership with the Kyiv Independent, Ukraine's biggest independent English-language media outlet. It'll focus on insider stories coming from within Ukraine, told by those at the centre of the conflict. The podcast host has reviewed the Shure MV88 Plus microphone. If you listen to this podcast, well, it's the microphone we've been using for the last 2 weeks while we've been travelling. 128 podcasts have so far run PSAs offering help and support for those supporting comprehensive reproductive care. We link to those today from our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. Target Spot has opened a dedicated Latin American office in Miami, led by Angelica Potez. The ad tech company has also partnered with social music streaming app Resso and the US's Spanish broadcasting system. We've updated our podcast market data slides to include last week's Infinite Dial Canada and Buzzsprout's podcast platform data from June. Nick Hilton writes that podcasts are better than newsletters. Good job we do both, isn't it? Courtney Kosak has interviewed James Cridland, Podnews' editor, that's me, in her newsletter, Podcast Bestie. I managed to get away amusing names for podcasts about fish and chips, and I ask indie podcasters not to join that gang. Imagine if you could market your show to millions of people every day. The USPS is doing just that. Mail-in It is currently being promoted to everyone who gets USPS informed delivery emails. The promo just says, get it wherever you listen to your podcasts. How's your show doing? Well, we get podcast play data, spare a thought for many TV producers for whom play data from companies like Netflix or Paramount Plus appears to be entirely unavailable, claims a story in Vulture. The top 25 US newspapers saw an average circulation loss of 12% in the year to March 2022, it's been revealed. And thank you to our many personal Patreon supporters who, from today, we'll mention in our newsletter. We're grateful to you for your support of our journalism, and you can join the list at patreon.com/podnews. It's a Monday, so time for some tech stuff. Dogcatcher, an Android podcast app, is crashing on some valid Podcasting 2.0 RSS feeds, even though the feeds are valid XML. The app, which hasn't been updated since October 2018, doesn't appear to cope with the enclosure part of the live item tag. It does appear to be the only app that's shown an issue, though. There is a new podcast API called Taddy, with more than 2 million podcasts in it, offering a robust search of episodes as well as shows, and with webhooks to keep shows updated. The API is used by podcast app Podacy. The OPORG list of podcast app user agents has had a number of updates over the last week. If you run Helipad to keep an eye on boost messages for your podcast, you might like to know an undocumented API that shows streaming sats. More details about that in our show notes and our newsletter today. And talking about streaming sats...
Boostagram Corner.
Yes, enjoy getting the podcast news. Cheers, says Nixa, who's boosted us from Fountain. Thank you to Jupiter Broadcasting for your boosts, and to Carl6007. who says, enjoying the Boost life. I love Podnews. James gives so much helpful information about the podcasting world. It's helped me out a lot, says Bisaya Podcast, also boosting us from Fountain. Thank you. And you, too, can hit the Boost button to send us some messages and boosts. The Fountain app is the easiest way to get going, and they'll even give you cryptocurrency to get started. And in podcast news, Blum is an audio fiction thriller which has topped the charts in Spain. It's a mockumentary format featuring popular actors from the country, and it's a branded podcast too, set in Switzerland and supported by Switzerland Tourism. But even so, it's been one of the most popular podcasts in the country since it was released. It was produced by El Extraordinario. The programme has hit 400,000 downloads 2.5 years after its release. It's joined the Rusty Quill network, which will distribute the series, sell advertising and promote it to new audiences. The Loyalists, a sci-fi audio drama set in the year 2053 during the Second American Civil War, has just posted its season finale. It features a large cast of voice and theatre actors from Los Angeles and released its first episode in 2017. Think Fast, Talk Smart is new from Podium Podcast Co. and Stanford Business Podcasts, and provides the tools, techniques and best practices to help you communicate more effectively, how to send your message clearly when put on the spot, or write emails to get your point across. And Media Circus with Kim Goldman is new today from Cast Media, taking an inside look at private tragedy in the public eye, and explores how the media got it right, got it wrong, and got in the way. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.